Hi, I'm Mark White, and you can see the sign. This is Idaho Estate Planning. This is, we used to have a radio show, and we did that for 5 years, and I was told repeatedly that I needed to upgrade, move ahead. And so now we have a podcast, and we have some great guests on here, as you know. Thank goodness it's not just me. I know what you're saying. And today we have Tiffany Williams, and this is really interesting stuff. So I'm glad you joined us. Tiffany, hi.
Hi. Nice to see you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Well, it's good to have you here. You're uniquely positioned to handle some questions and some thoughts that we kids often see that our parents might not. And it can drive us kids crazy.
Yes.
And I'm the attorney in the family. Mom's pretty good, but it's not always, well, if Mark says that's right, then that's what we'll do. I've seen that so many times.
Yes,
not just me, but other people. And so sometimes it's great to bring in a third-party expert. Yeah. So I'm setting all this up, and the third-party expert today is really organization. So tell us a little bit about your company. It's called Progress.
Yes, that's it. Progress LLC.
Okay.
And we're a Treasure Valley professional organization company.
All right. We don't know what that means.
Yes. So the three components for seniors that would be watching this that we can help them with is paperwork organization. And so that can be just basic paperwork organization, or that could be very comprehensive, including trust documentation,
So legal stuff.
All the legal stuff. Yep.
You can pull that together.
Pull it together.
I imagine you see some medical stuff.
I do see some medical stuff. Another component that we work a lot on for that is passwords. We work with clients on passwords, so that way if something were to happen to you and someone needed to step in and pay the bills or take over for you, they're able to actually access all of the accounts that they need to find.
Okay, so when you say documents, you kind of blended right into online access to accounts and that.
Yep.
So that's part of this too, is can I pull this in? My wife likes to print everything off.
I don't mind that.
Oh, okay, that's fine, but then we have to organize it.
Yep.
But there's a lot we could do just online.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are some fairly secure password companies that you can purchase that'll autofill for you. Just making sure that, because sometimes you don't even have the passwords to get into the computer.
Yeah.
And so if you're a hybrid, that works great. If you're old school and like to do paperwork, there's all different kinds of password notebooks that you can purchase now. And I'll sit down with clients and write out the different places that they have accounts, what they are, and then obviously we always put it in pencil. So that way, when you have to change the passcode, it's there.
So do you help them recover the passwords they've forgotten?
So I have had clients that didn't know what their passcodes were, and so going through the process of finding that. Sometimes clients will have more than one email account, and so we'll have to kind of investigate where did it come from, where are they sending the backup passcode, and then reestablishing one. Absolutely. That's something that we've helped clients with for sure. I just run across all different kinds of experiences, and sometimes, especially in the last couple years, we've had the person, maybe out of a couple, the husband or the wife always pays the bills, and then something happens and the other spouse has no idea what's supposed to be paid, when it's supposed to be paid, how much it is, how to access what they have, all of those things. So
and you can help.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the parts of the comprehensive organization that we can assist with, for sure.
Very good.
Yep.
So that kind of falls under the documentation, and that is it. It's information is really what it is.
Yeah.
We're organizing information and the access to the information, and we see that fairly frequently that he was doing all the bill paying and kept track, and we had one who was doing all the investing.
Oh.
Should have maybe turned that over to professionals, but he was doing it.
Right.
You know, and he was watching the market, and
Sure.
and then he was incapacitated, and she was like, I have no clue. None whatsoever. So yeah, we see that fairly often. So that's awesome. Okay. In addition to the documentation / information / maybe computer and interwebs, what else?
So another component that we specialize in is consolidation, clearing clutter, just overall organization. So how that could present for someone that wants to stay in their home, aging in place, would be walking through with the client items that they maybe would like to donate, things that they'd like to identify for family members, if they feel like they just have too many items and would like to kind of pare down a little bit. That's something that we can help with. We also can help seniors if for whatever reason they were unable to stay and they had to move to a smaller
transition.
We can help pare down so that they're really identifying the treasures that they'd like to take with them and make sure that they can actually fit in the new area that they're moving to.
So our theme has been no place like home.
Right, absolutely.
There are so many that would like to stay in their home.
Absolutely.
A component that we talk about, well, maybe not often, but that we hit is that you can define home. You know, I mean, with the Western United States, especially out here in the Intermountain West, home is that place where we raised all our kids, you know, or whatever it might be. And so if they get ahead of the curve, is how I say it, others say, you know, give up and move to independent living or a smaller patio home or stuff. This is what you're talking about here, is that transition.
Yep. And so we can actually help them, you know, after we've identified the things that they want to keep for paring down, we can work with local charities for donations. There are some places here that if you would like to get rid of excessive furniture, that we can either coordinate with to sell it or coordinate for it to be donated and picked up. I actually work a lot with junk guys. So if after we've pared down everything you've identified, all of these items need to be, they're not salvageable. They need to be taken. We can call the junk guys. Have them take it to the dump. So we work kind of in conjunction with a whole bunch of different providers. If you don't have a moving facility to help you transition, I do work with a couple different movers, but one that specifically specializes in moving of seniors that's here locally. And so we can give you all of those resources and coordinate with those resources to make that transition fairly smooth for you.
Okay, so I know that you're not going to move. I got that, right? I hear that all the time. This is my home. I'm going to stay here. And then the kids are going to help out. I mean, we hear this all the time. And sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Even still, there are some things that would make the kids feel a lot better about staying in home. And one of them is safety.
Yep.
And there's at least a couple of different facets to being safe. One of them is the stuff in the house.
Yeah, having too much stuff. And if you have a wheelchair or a walker or those sort of things that can easily bump into other items, making sure that walkway and getting in and out and around the house are safe and clear.
What about the deep pile shag carpet?
Trip hazard.
With the plastic runner on top that my father-in-law nailed down to the floor. And so we had that area of the carpet looked pretty good when they finally moved. The rest of it had worn.
Yes, sure. And we do have a couple handyman that if there something like that needs to be removed because it is considered to be a trip hazard, we can call them in. And we were talking about this a little bit before, but if you needed to expand, if you were staying, and you needed to expand in order to accommodate a wheelchair, or, if we need to reconfigure some things, we do have contractors that are local. We have people that can do CAD drawings. There are a few resources that we have, including some nurses to come in and give some suggestions to make it AAD compliant, so that you can stay,
Yes.
because you want to stay, so that you don't have trip hazards and issues of falling in your home and then, not being able to get back up or hurting yourself.
Well, and you were educating me, because my experience has been that I see a lot of people have organized their garage.
Mm-hmm. Or not.
Or not. Works both ways.
Yes.
And my experience has been, once it gets organized in the garage, they don't necessarily, access that again. And you're saying, yeah, but there are plenty that do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so tell me a little bit, there's some considerations that you put into.
Sure.
Is it going to be one of those 50-pound totes? Is it going to be high, low? Talk
Sure.
to us a little bit about that.
So we there's lots of garage organization companies. We are not bound by one type, brand, kind, etc. So we actually set up garages specific to the client's needs, and do some drawings. So for seniors, we have a couple different strategies to help them. Is making sure that, with bending over, that's difficult for seniors. Getting up really high is difficult.
Or squatting down.
Or squatting down, yep. And so one of the things that we found is a lot of times you'll find the totes on the floor because they're not able to pick them up. So we actually make the shelving so that there's nothing below a certain level.
Got it.
There's not above a certain level. And instead of doing the 50-pound totes that you might find at Costco or Home Depot,
Yeah.
we try to make it so that they're either open-faced, if allowable, and so that they're a little bit lighter. So if it's items that's just Christmas tree and your family's going to come over and put it up for you anyway, we can put it up
that
higher.
up higher. Yeah.
But if it's something that you actually need access to, making so it's a smaller bin, so it's open-faced, you can literally pull it out, put it right back in, and you don't have to worry about a 50-pound tote falling on your foot.
Right.
Those sort of things. So we adjust our shelving systems, our track systems based off of the need of the senior, how easy it is for them to pick it up and reach it.
Yeah. And yes, the kids can still do it too. But we set it up so that our folks can have access to it when we're not there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've noticed, and I don't know why. I don't know why you older folks hit Costco on Saturday when everybody else is in Costco on Saturday. I just keep thinking they should go a day when we're all working, and then it's a little bit more room. It's not as busy, but
I think Costco still has a senior hour.
yeah.
I think it's like Tuesday or Wednesday morning in Boise.
Very good.
They actually have a senior hour where it's supposed to be a little bit quieter and not so busy. So
That's my recommendation.
Yes.
Across the board. But the certain generation goes to Costco
for bulk items. Yep.
and fill up the back of their car with stuff.
Yep.
Do you figure out how to do that?
Absolutely. So another thing for the shelving, either typically in the garage, but sometimes if it's not too much for the pantry, we will set up additional shelving because a lot of seniors will have a backup fridge in their garage. And so usually next to it, we'll have the backup toilet paper, the backup foods that they love to eat, that they want to make sure we don't run out of. And so we can definitely do smaller storage systems for backup pantry foods that are easily accessible for them.
Got it.
So that way, if we're running low on anything, we have the backup right there in the garage for them.
Well, and the thing that's nice about that too is it's fairly visual. Mm-hmm. So it's not hard to go, the next time we're there, we need to pick up whatever. Or
the next time we're there, we already have 50 of these. We probably don't need any more.
Even though they're on sale.
Even though they're on sale. Yep. Yep.
So the garage, though, that's the kind of thing that, by the way, is not solely attached to older
Correct.
homeowners.
Yes.
You can do the garage for
Anybody. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these services, for sure, we can help anyone with. But, we do see some higher needs specifically for the paperwork and the consolidation and paring down for seniors. Obviously, if I go into a 30-year-old's house, the amount of paperwork that they might
they haven't collected as much.
Yeah, they haven't collected
Not
as
yet.
much, and it might be a little bit more digital or more hybrid.
Got it. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go in and we'll have paperwork back to the 80s. Or, you may run across this where we have multiple wills or we have multiple of this, that, and the other that we can confer with you. Let's just make sure it's okay for us to get rid of it, and then we need to shred it. We don't want to throw it in the trash. We want to securely shred that because it has personal information.
Yeah.
So paring that down.
We have a constant reminder to clean that up. For me, it's not confusing the folks that may need to step in.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's multiple copies, especially multiple originals of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's real easy to go, but this is what they said over here. And so we love them to bring it in.
Yeah,
and then we'll help them with it.
Absolutely.
And we have a shredder. So
Yes.
we
Oh,
just
there we
take-
go. I'm
take-
coming here every day.
Take care of that. Yeah, just
I mean, it also, leading back to that, it also makes it a lot less confusing. If you were a family member to step in,
Yeah.
I mean, it may take you an hour to figure out which one is the most recent. And so having that either identified in a safe or like a bug out file, if you will,
Yeah.
then this is the most updated copy of the assets, of the trust, of the will, of the medical power of attorney, all of those things.
We historically would do a probate. Dad passed, and not a clue what assets they had, what accounts they had, because I don't know why it's dads, but dads tend to be pretty stubborn about I can do this
don't
or
say.
the privacy.
Right.
I think I get to say that because I'm part of that club. But it made it really difficult for the kids to step in.
Yeah.
And I tell about folks that would wait by the mailbox to get the most recent statement, which doesn't happen anymore. Not as much.
Right.
They're getting their statement online
Sometimes, if they can find it.
if they know how to do this.
Yeah.
So they might have figured it out. That's a question. But we know that the kids, usually the oldest daughter, is now coming in. Dad's had a stroke. Dad is, not able to do any of this. Who's going to step in? Well, the kids are sitting there going, I don't even know. And that's something by doing that organization, you're able to get them going at least in the right direction.
Absolutely. And one of the things that when we're doing kind of a comprehensive look of what's here, maybe what might be missing, is sometimes you can't remember if you bought a cremation policy 10 years ago. Or you're not sure if you have if you're a widow, if you have your husband's military records, if you will. And so, kind of fine tuning that. And then the additional step is, and sometimes this is a step that's missed, it's not on purpose, but we forget to give the executor of the state a copy.
Yep.
Or we forget to give the people that should have a copy. And so that's something that we work with clients as well to make sure that everybody that should be in the know is, so that way if you had to step in, maybe the assets aren't exactly correct, but they at least know where the key to the safe is or where the safety deposit box is.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know where the P.O. box is. Or if the other thing that we'll find with seniors is they like to hide money in certain areas that you would never guess. And when you go in to clear out a house, you don't realize that there's $100 bills in the back of each of those books, or in the back of, you'll have a painting on the wall and there'll be bonds. So being able to have somewhere to write all of those nuances down so that your family members know, hey, there's some additional assets here, there, or here that you might not know about.
Now,
or a can in the backyard, hiding some things.
I have some stories.
Yeah.
Downspout
Oh.
that was blocked up at top.
Ah.
And the only way they found out was during a rainstorm, there was no water coming.
Yeah.
So they were worried that it was blocked up. Well, it was.
With?
Cash.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Oh, that's
kidding.
the first I've heard that.
Well, that was a good one. And
At least the cash was nice and clean.
well, it was blocked off at the top, so there was no water even going in. But
yeah, I mean, there's very unusual places that, you know, people of a certain generation feel that they want not all their eggs in one basket.
yeah,
And making sure the coins and the stamps and all of those other, you know, baseball cards, or where are those in case someone needed to find them and not accidentally toss them unknowingly.
well, there's two more things that I want to address.
Sure.
Let me do the one that I should do second. Let me do that first so I don't forget.
Okay.
That's how my mind works. These are things that people could do. The kids could possibly help.
Absolutely.
I have found that that's not always welcome help because, like you said, you know, they've put things in different places. Oh, by the way, the one that was really interesting was the vacuum.
Really?
In the vacuum.
Like in the hose, or
No, in the bag, on the back.
Oh, like the old Hoover bags.
Yeah.
That, oh.
It was full of cash. Anyhow.
Wow.
Oh, one more.
See,
Sorry.
this is proving my point. We need to have that written down somewhere, because
Yes.
nobody would have looked at the vacuum and that it was said, this is a great vacuum. Let me donate it to Idaho Youth Ranch.
Well,
and
they
then
would have loved that.
But you might not have gotten the beautiful donation slip to the amount that it should have been.
That's true. Here's my last one, just because I thought of that.
Yeah.
An attorney told me this, that he had a client, mom passed away, prosthetic leg. She got a call from the coroner, or from the funeral home. I think you want to come and get her prosthetic leg. No, I
don't need that.
No, you need to come down. It's $35,000.
In her leg.
Stuffed in the prosthetic leg.
Oh, no.
I was just like, Anyhow, so these are things that people can do. The families could do. I'm good with that. But sometimes it's so helpful to have, whether you're an expert or just experienced or not a part of the family.
Neutral. I'm neutral.
Yeah, but you can come in and all of a sudden your suggestions are brilliant, even if the oldest daughter had mentioned something like.
Right.
But you've got all this that you can bring to the table.
Sure. And sometimes having a neutral party is helpful. I will say, specifically with the pare down and sentimental items, it is a long process. It can be a very long process. And so typically when we're dealing with very sentimental items, we only usually do 3 or 4 hours with someone at a time, because there's such a thing as called decision fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're looking at, photos might be one of the last things that we look through.
Yeah.
You want to start with some easy things and get some momentum. But it's very difficult to go through a lot of items. And sometimes with our busy lives, the kids would like to help, but they really can't. Or they can help a little bit.
Or it's a Pandora's box.
Right. Or you may have some struggles or discussions of things that you open up that, bring you down memory lane. And so I'm able to kind of bring that back on track, or let's take some breaks or some different strategies that we can use. And sometimes just me being there, it's like, okay, let's get to work.
Yes.
So, that is definitely a longer process sometimes than people imagine. It's one thing if you're going in after your family member passed and you're just overwhelmed with all of these things. But when you have the person that's allowed to make the choices while they're still here and identifying who they'd like to receive, it can be emotional for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so being able to kind of walk through that process, but the more time that you have to do that, because it is so emotionally taxing, the easier it is for everybody involved.
So my suggestion based on that would be
Yeah.
it's not too soon to get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people do this. Some people are, my dad was just very organized here. He used to get frustrated because we wouldn't take the stuff that he valued. He would offer it anytime we came by.
Sure.
Here, you need to take some stuff. And we're like,
Right.
I got a lot of stuff already.
Right.
Anyhow, so that was interesting. But there are so many that aren't, which takes me now to the third thing that you can focus on. And so back up. We talked about the paper. We talked about information. We talked about accounts, a little bit of security issues there. We got the garage, the house, just the house itself. Some folks have collected
Yes.
stuff.
Yep. Yep.
And I'll use the term stuff because,
It's a treasure to them.
yeah, but not necessarily to a lot of other people.
That's true. So that is similar to what we were speaking about before. I mean, that's definitely something that if we're either paring down to move or if we're staying in place, going section by section, so someone that is not too overwhelmed, identifying the treasures, the true treasures that you have, the true treasures that you'd like to give to family members, and then working on the items that maybe you don't need, you haven't used in years, or you have multiples of that maybe you only need one of. And so coordinating to get those donated to a local charity. Or if we need to take a huge amount to the dump, we can do that. Or linking you to, if you have some really valuable items, linking you and coordinating with an estate, or auction or those sort of things. If no one in the family wants it, you don't want it, but you know that it has some value. So a lot of that is kind of coordination with outside providers to get items pared down to where you have some more room, but you don't have so much stuff that you're overwhelmed. Or if someone were to come in tomorrow, if something were to happen to you, it wouldn't take them 2 months to clean out the house.
Well, and there are some safety issues again
absolutely.
with what we're talking about here. And so, again, for us, we love to support those that would like to be in their home sweet home. And we're all over that. It's just that we want them to be safe.
Absolutely.
We want a high quality experience.
Absolutely.
And having lots of stuff detracts from a high quality experience. Having a home that maybe needs to be upgraded as far as, the personal safety, that doesn't help to have a high quality experience. And so this fits in really well with that. And I've seen plenty of frustrated children just not even knowing, where to get started. So talk to me a little bit. What drew you into this?
So for years and years, I was a real estate agent for almost 13 years. And I have moved a few times. So I was a behavioral health provider in the community. So I worked, I used to live in Iowa before I moved to Idaho. I'm one of those
Oh, it's
jokes.
the same place,
Yeah. So I used to live in Iowa and helped in person for people that were either had mental health issues, depression, all kinds of different. And so that was really enjoyable to me because you were able to make a difference one-on-one. When I moved to Idaho, I still worked with a mental health provider, but more behind the scenes for the last 5-ish years. And then I opened up Progress. So for me, it's a mix of a few different things.
Right.
It's being able to still help people on a one-on-one way. And some of the things that we provide are really transformative, and it's so amazing to see that. So I never, if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have never said, this is exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But with a mix of the few things that I have done, I have a lot of knowledge about paperwork. Being a real estate agent, I worked at H&R Block for 4 years. I have a lot of knowledge about paperwork, and I know that it can sink or swim depending on your situation. But being able to be in the home and helping families and helping individuals kind of take some control back of their life, feeling like they're saving some time, being a little bit more efficient, being able to find things is really amazing. So for me, it's a great kind of meet in the middle, if you will.
Well, and it's a unique combination of skill sets and experience, and bringing that. And then I do some coaching of attorneys around the country, and I get pushback when I say certain things. They go, "Well, you got the white beard, so you're able to say that, and that's true. Been doing this a long time, so I'm able to say some things, and people go, "Oh, that's a good idea." But with your skill set and experience, I think you get to do the same thing. You have a certain status that you're able to work from.
Sure.
And I just think that's awesome, by the way, folks, because I know that the oldest daughter, as hard as she tries, is not going to have that status. And the sons, of course, we don't even need to talk about that. We're just, chopped liver or something. So that is awesome. How would we get hold of you?
So you could either give a call, and do you usually put information up, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So, just our cell phone is fine. Email is fine. I typically, just for the process, will talk with people a little bit over the phone and kind of discuss what it is that they're looking for and see if we can help them. And then we usually come in and take an assessment, take a look and see.
Right.
And then we work with a time that works best for you and works best for us and get started. So either via email or a cell phone, and we'll do the best that we can to kind of talk with you fairly quickly about what it is that they're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany Williams.
Yes.
Progress LLC.
You got it.
And if nothing else, a great phone call, at least get started, get thinking about it. And this is what we found with Mom is timing is everything. There's this window, and if you can find the window, then they should get hold of you.
Right. Or before the window. But also, I mean, if it ends up being that something happened and you have to go in and do this, I mean, having a team to help you do that is helpful too. So grief is, amazingly overwhelming for people sometimes. And so if you get into a situation where you're not sure, I mean, we can try to help navigate through to see if we can't help you in the same way that we would help your parent before they
Got
passed.
it. Yeah.
So,
excellent. That's a great resource. Well, thank you for being with
I
us.
appreciate you inviting me. Thank you so
And
much.
anybody that's listening, get started. Whether you call Tiffany or you're going, well, I'm not quite there. There's stuff that probably needs to be moved out of the house, whether it's donated or given to the kids. I have worked with so many people that have these things. Well, that's for my granddaughter. We'll give it to her now. Why are we hanging on to it? And so get started. If you have questions, call Tiffany. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.